Hi Stampin' friends, welcome back. It's Sandy here with another edition of Christmas Card Countdown. I think this is video number 7. I think I've lost track, but let's go with it and say it's number 7. Today I want to share with you this crazy over-the-top card that I created. Isn't this awesome? And it looks like it's just wildly hard. It really isn't. I use mostly leftovers to create this card, so I'm going to break it down for you and give you all the supplies that you need and show you how to put this little guy together. We're going to start off with the Stylish Christmas stamp set. I'm using Melon Mambo and Granny Apple Green, and I have got 2 pieces of Whisper White. They are 4 1/4 by 5. Now this is a distinctive stamp set. This is one of Stampin' Up's new creations, and what it does is, let me just show you, all the detail is in the stamp. So all you have to do is stamp it once, and then you get the beautiful details and shadows. It's all created within the stamp. Isn't that awesome? Wowzer. And the same thing with the leaves. And so for this card, I did 2 flowers and 5 sets of the leaves, and so that's how I stamp them. And then I save all of my fussy cutting for late in the day, and I either watch a hockey game with Ian or I watch a movie down in my studio if Ian's not home, and I do all my fussy cutting while I'm watching a movie. Otherwise I would probably drive myself crazy. So I got the ink out of the way. I just wanted to show you the rest of the stamp set. And if you look on my blog, you'll see that there was 3 cards, actually I did, I think a week and a half ago, that I used this and pretty much all of the pieces. So cut these all out and set them aside because we're going to be playing with them in a little bit. The card base is 4 1/4 by 11, scored and folded at 5 1/2, and this is the extra thick Whisper White. Next we are going to play with this little piece in the background. It's a piece of Bermuda Bay. I started with 3 3/4 long and 4 1/4 wide, and I used the corrugated embossing folder. I want to show you something very important about this embossing folder. What's important is, do you like this or do you like this? Let me show you. This is crazy. Okay, so this is one of those extra thick embossing folders, and there is a line on the front, which is very cool. You can line up your piece of cardstock in there and get it dead on. I'm not going to worry about it because this is just something I want to show you about how to put your folder into your Big Shot. So I've got the fold across here, and I'm going to stick it in this way. And I'm going to add my cutting pad above, and I'm going to run this through, and when you open it, it's all shredded, okay? This is what happens. So put another piece in. This time the fold is here, okay? And I'm going to run it this way through my machine. And alternatively, you can also wet this. You can either spray it with alcohol or water, and it will cut down on this happening for you as well. But if you do it this way, you get a much better impression, and it doesn't shred it completely apart. But moistening it will also help. Okay, so that's my Big Shot lesson for you for today. Again, 3 3/4 by 4 1/4, and because this is so deeply embossed, it shrinks it down into size. And even though we started with 4 1/4, look what it does when it hits the front of your card. It's the perfect size. The rest of these pieces I've already die cut, but I'm going to explain them to you. The Merry Christmas Thinlits is where I got the word Merry from, and I used a piece of lipstick, lovely lipstick, and this is 2 1/2 by 4, and I'm just trying to get it out of there. There we go. So, and you could use that for a stencil later if you wanted to. There's the dies. Unfortunately, this is one set of the dies that is probably soon going to be disappearing because it's extremely popular and they're selling out of it. My snowflakes, I don't know if you noticed, I actually tucked a few snowflakes in there, which is kind of awesome. I used a scrap of Whisper White, and I think it was about 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I put as many of these dies as I could on here and just cut out a selection of different sizes of snowflakes. This set is not in any of our catalogs. It's a special for the month of November. It's the Snowfall Thinlits that go with the Snow is Glistening and Happiness Surrounds bundles that are currently available in November. If you do not have these or you don't want to buy them, you can also use the Blizzard die, and you just place it over top and it will cut all of these snowflakes out for you. So there's an alternative. Next, I needed some greenery for my background, and I used the Pretty Pines Thinlits. These came out last year. In particular, I used these two. I took a half a sheet of old olive and just cut out as many as I needed, and I actually went back and counted for you. I needed 9, and I cut them 2 at a time using both of these, and then just shortened the long one for as many times as I needed it. And last but certainly not least, I needed a little bling, and this is courtesy of the Frosted Boutique Framelets, currently in the holiday catalog. I used a piece of the gold foil, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I used this die and I cut it 4 times to get these little branches. So there's where all the pieces came from. So you can dumpster dive in your scrap bin and haul out all of these, which is what I did. And then I have a UFO drawer. When I am designing cards, I usually cut a whole bunch of pieces and then play. And then whatever's left over, I throw in the UFO drawer. And sometimes it's fun to just dump that out on the table and see what you can create with it. And that is exactly how this card came to be. Isn't it pretty? Okay, now I'm going to show you how to put it together. Adhesives you're going to need: tear and tape, dimensionals, and multi-purpose glue. Probably some glue dots if you want as well. We're going to start by folding our card in half, and I like to use my bone folder. Make sure I get a nice crisp fold. Do you see my customized? I give these to all my ladies when they get their first promotion. This is part of our team incentive program, and a very good friend of mine out in BC does this for me. Thanks to Liz Holloway for doing those. All right, I am going to use tear and tape on the back of my corrugated piece. And once again, tear and tape is a little bit stronger than snail, and I like to use it when the surfaces are not flat. So watercolor paper that's been wet and dried quite a few times, anything that's been embossed, that kind of stuff. This stuff is great on it because you don't have to push really, really hard to get it to attach, and it's nice and sticky. So once you get it adhered, you just want to pull the backing off. And sometimes you have to rub a corner just to make sure that the glue part is stuck right down so that you can pick off that little covering. All right, so then we're going to take our card and we're going to attach this hopefully evenly down at the bottom, just like that. Then next I put my flowers on, and I would suggest one big dimensional in the center of each, because we're going to be lifting the edge of the petals to attach the other items underneath. So one large dimensional on the back of each one. Kind of pick and choose where you want them and lay them down on your card just like that. With me so far? Pretty already, isn't it? So then I started adding these little guys. And basically the easiest thing to do is just take your multi-purpose glue, and you don't need a whole bunch of it, but just add a little bit to the back, and you're just going to lift the flower and start adding these. Now you want enough that it's going to stick to the corrugated part, so I go down kind of the spine, and then I'm pushing it down with the flower, but the flower is popping back up again. It's not staying down. All right, and you want to go back and forth between the long ones and the short ones, and have the longer ones over more towards the center so that you don't have to trim them. Stick that one there. And have them coming out at different heights. Those are kind of the same. I'll use a short one this time. Okay, tucking that up under there. And then some of these you're going to have to trim. I'm just grabbing my scissors here. They're going to be too long, or you might be able to squeeze this one under. Yep. But some of them are definitely going to be too long, so just snip. Add your glue on the back. Pop them in. And then I also take these pieces if they're going to, if there's something's going to be kind of over top of them, you can still use it as filler. And again, another short one. I think I'm going to trim this one too. So you're just kind of working your way around, and this is your ground layer, so you're not looking to completely cover anything, okay? And I'm going to save a couple of pieces because I might need them a little bit later. Next, what I'm going to do is I am going to add all of these green leaves. And what I did with these is basically the same. I put a little bit of glue on, and then I just pushed the bottom in and tilted it up a little bit so that the end of the leaves stayed up in the air. A couple of single ones, and you can tuck those kind of in between the flowers just to add some depth. And one down there. Another one here. And what's nice about the multi-purpose glue is it doesn't dry instantly, so if you really decide that you hate where you put something down, you do have a couple of minutes where you can gently peel it back off and move it where you would rather have it. Okay, so again, I've got a couple of extra little pieces there, so I'm not going to worry about those. This snowflake is a rather large one, so I'm going to kibosh that one. I am going to take this little guy, and I'm going to add a few dots on the back of him and tuck him just under there. And then I think I've got a medium one here that still has one of the center pieces. A little dab on the back. And that's going to fill in that spot for me. And I see how I'm working my way around and just kind of filling things in. That's the whole idea behind it. And I'm working from the largest snowflake I decided to use down to the smallest. So there's my third size, and then I'm going to come right outside away from the flower and put one there, and I'm going to set those aside for a little bit later as well. And I want to make sure I have room for my Mary. I do. So again, I am going to come to the back and add some glue in as many spots as I can find to add it, because again, I'm attaching this to a corrugated surface, so not every glue spot is going to find something to stick to. Probably my fingers more than anything, right? And I angled this and placed it down like this. And so I'm holding this in place just for a couple seconds, so hopefully everything will stick. You can also put something heavy on it if you want. Let's get back to our bling. Now some of these are definitely going to be too long, so I did snip them. And once again, add some glue to a few different spots on the back. And then tuck them under, because you want them just kind of peeking out. But doesn't that just finish it right off? That final little bit of bling. Again, cut the tail off. Some glue, and I don't worry about this because it's under the flower, so I don't care if it spills over a little bit. I'm going to shove that one right up in there. There we go. Now for these top ones, what I did was I cut the base off, but I also cut this in half. And I have a couple left, so if I need them, I can cut more. You don't want to get too carried away with the gold. It will take over your picture in a very short period of time. Okay, I'm going to put that one there, and then snipping this little guy off, I am going to tuck this one right in there. And I'm seeing a bit of a bald spot there, so I'm going to grab one of my single leaves and just pop it in underneath there. See how it fills it in? And I think I'm almost happy with that. Okay, I zoomed in so you could get a good look at it, and my final embellishment was I took a medium-sized rhinestone and stuck it here, and then I went to the small ones for the rest of my snowflakes. And I popped one in the center. Some of your snowflakes may still be moving around because the multi-purpose glue is not dry yet, so be a little bit gentle when you're doing this. and then you probably want to set it aside and let it dry for about half an hour. And there we go. I'll pick this one up because it's the dry one. All finished. So everybody's got that special friend that you just want to make one of those over-the-top cards for. I have a couple in mind, and I'm going to have to do a few different colors for some very special friends. But this also is not very high because I used multi-purpose glue. I kept everything reasonably flat. There's lots of layers of paper, and there is dimensionals behind the flowers. You should, in Canada, be able to mail this for $1.80. And that's not too bad, and it will still fit inside a regular envelope. You may, in some cases, have to come along and do a little bit of trimming if you happen to get one of these stuck out. And of course, I have a little starting supply for my next card over here that I'm going to pop into my UFO bin until I need them. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed today's over-the-top card with a stylish Christmas stamp set. And thanks so much for stopping in. I hope you have fun with it, and come on back soon. I've got more cards to share with you. Until next time, happy stamping.